Hey friends, Karina Tennyson, your Virginia homegirl. And last night I did a little video regarding a conversation that I had with a potential client. I got to thinking about how there were several topics within that conversation that were full of lots of misinformation. I think a lot of times people think of realtors and unfortunately due to past experiences may feel like all we care about is getting to the closing table, finishing up the transaction, and being done and moving on to the next. I personally feel very differently about the process. My number one job as your agent is to educate and make sure that I am relaying all of the information, setting expectations, so that my buyers and sellers are informed and confident moving forward. To me, the worst thing that could happen is for us to wrap up a transaction and that client chatting with a friend saying, oh, I didn't know that. That wasn't communicated to me. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that we were supposed to do that. So what I do is present all the information, get you good and confident on exactly what to expect from the process, and then together we decipher what's going to be the best fit for you. And then I make it happen. Because I'm trying not to make a 10-minute long video, I want to lay the groundwork and discuss the most basic concepts first. Last night I talked a little bit about how you can use any agent you want, and the type of loan has absolutely nothing to do with who you partner with. Meaning you don't have to use somebody specific to be able to be eligible to have a VA loan. Now I want to talk about the different types of loans, and while I'm not a lender and that's not my wheelhouse, in my next video I'll have a lender come on with me and we can dive a little deeper into it. For information purposes, we'll chat about the basics. Obviously there are conventional loans, there are FHA, USDA, VA, and I talk about these different types of loans because the gentleman that I spoke with said, realtors don't do their jobs because if they call the FHA, they will go out there, they will look at the property, they will see that it's overpriced, they'll require the seller to fix things, and if it's overpriced, they'll make them take it off the market. If you're within the real estate world, you know that that's not the case, that's not necessarily how it works. But if you're brand new to home buying, and this is something that you've been told, you don't really know that that's not really the case. What I think might have happened is he might have heard something along the way and he might have gotten the information a little bit twisted. Your USDA, VA, your FHA, those are government-backed loans. If you are a VA buyer or an FHA buyer, the appraiser is going to come out to the house. It's going to take a peek at all the things. It's going to come up with the value of the home. They're really going to pay attention to the safety aspects and look for things like wood rot, maybe electrical issues. Now that appraiser can go back to the lender and say, we will lend this amount of money to them, but this, and this have to be fixed before we'll lend that money to them. So at that point, the buyer can either negotiate to make those repairs themselves, and this is a tactic that a lot of people will use if they're trying to be competitive because they're trying to make it seem like the seller's not having to do a lot of stuff. And there's a time and place for this. Sometimes it's in their best interest and other times it's not. But for the sake of keeping this a shorter video, it's negotiable. That appraisal and those lender required repairs are going to stick with the home. So hypothetically speaking, the seller says, I don't want to fix these things. The buyer doesn't have the money to fix these things. It has to be disclosed moving forward. So the problems that they're having with the buyer for that property are going to stay there and be a problem for the next buyer, unless it's cash or a conventional loan. So I don't say this to try to paint VA and government-backed loans in a negative picture, but I was trying to really dig deep on where he got this information of the FHA is going to go out and tell them that they need to fix these things or lower their price or they have to take their home off the market. A seller can list their home at any price. They could go out there and list it for $1 million if it's only a $500,000 property. It's not illegal to do that, but they're only shooting themselves in the foot because obviously you're not going to have a buyer come and be willing to pay $1 million when the house is only worth $500,000. So to recap, there are different types of loans. Depending on what type of loan you're using, lender required repairs might pop up somewhere at the time of appraisal. Again, all negotiable, and depending on the situation, this may or may not be an issue. To set the record straight, you can use whatever agent you'd like to use. Your loan eligibility is not dependent on who you use as an agent. and the FHA or government is not going to come in and require a listing to fix problems or lower their price or get off the market. Sellers have the freedom to list their home at whatever price they'd like. Now, if they really want to sell their house, they're going to link arms with a professional who's got a really great pulse on the market and can tell them why they should lower their price a little bit, especially in this market. If you have more questions or want to dive into any of this conversation a little bit deeper, feel free to call, text, or email me. And if you're thinking about selling or buying and you want to see exactly what that looks like, let's chat and see if we'd be a good fit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.